very diverse about the gathering here today is the age range. I'm being told there are people from 12 years to 60 years in this age range. And here I am standing, trying to capture attention of each one of you, trying to bind you in a topic that may be common to us all. Then I realized that there are two things common to all of us, irrespective of our age. The first thing is breathing. We cannot live without breathing. And the second thing is finance. We cannot live without finance either. And what is the only difference between the two? Breathing comes to us automatically from the time we are born. But finance is something we should talk about. We should learn it, we should teach it, we should discuss more and more about it. Financial knowledge can be bettered only by discussing it and talking about it. And the same with financial awareness as well. This becomes very crucial, and especially so in Indian households. Because in Indian households, we do not like to talk about our finances with our family members, with our spouse, with our parents, with our kids, with our siblings. Personal finance talks are one of the most awkward and uncomfortable conversations in Indian families. And I'm not just telling this statement just in the air. I'm telling this based on a statistic that Indians are shy of talking about finances. And this statistic is based on the fact that as of April 2025, in India, we have almost 2 lakh crore rupees lying unclaimed in banks, in EPFs, in mutual funds, in shares, in insurances. This, of course, is not a desired outcome, but it is a consequence of decades of part knowledge, part awareness. And they say, half knowledge is more dangerous than no knowledge. In the mainstream, we are hardly taught about finance, but still, we learn something of it on social media. But even social media does not highlight a few lessons, small, tiny bits, which helps you to keep your investments clean. And today we are going to talk about that. But the bright side about this financial mess, this 2 lakh crore rupees which are lying unclaimed, one bright thing is that now it is slowly becoming easier to clean this mess because everything is becoming online and self-explanatory. So today we will discuss about two crucial things. One is, why is financial knowledge so crucial? Why is financial knowledge so important? And the second is how to clean up this financial mess and stop it from piling up in future as well. When we talk about personal finance, why is financial knowledge important? The first example is that we have better salaries in today's jobs, but there is no job security. So while you're still having an active income, you should be smart enough to invest your money properly so that if there is a job loss, your income from your investments can sustain you till you find a new job. Second is more career gaps taken willingly. Some decades ago, when a person used to join a job, he or she used to quit only on retirement. But today, people are willingly taking more career gaps to de-stress, to travel, to pursue their hobby. Especially women, they take career gaps during crucial stages of life like maternity, and when their kids are in crucial stages of life like 10th standard and 12th standard, and then they join back. So when you are in an active career, you should have good financial knowledge to invest properly so that can sustain you when you are having a career gap. Then, better lifespan. With the advancement of medical science, it is very common for a normal Indian middle-aged person to live up to at least 85. But the retirement age is even now at 60. So you are going to stay alive for at least 25 years after your retirement. So you have to plan in your active working life so that you can sustain yourself in your retired life. Because if you don't plan for your kids' education, they will get education loan. If you don't plan for your kids' marriage, they will get a personal loan, but you will never get a retirement loan. So retirement planning is very, very important. Of course, with the longer life, the medical expenditure is also very costly. And unfortunately, as you're growing old, it will only grow costlier. So you have to invest smartly today to sustain even your medical expenditure for tomorrow. Of course, then bigger inheritances. In the past 2-3 decades, people have invested in properties, in shares, in mutual funds, kept FDs. And today, when their kids are receiving these inheritances, these kids should also have proper financial knowledge to reinvest those inheritances without downgrading them just because of poor reinvestment decisions. And then we have more investment opportunities and avenues today. Maybe some 2-3 decades back, the major investment avenues were real estate, FD, gold. But today, we have so many more choices, so many more options. So financial knowledge is very important so that you can invest appropriately as per your financial goals. How to keep your personal finance clean? As I said, 2 lakh crores worth of unclaimed amounts lying around in India. The first and foremost important factor behind these unclaimed funds, unclaimed deposits, unclaimed insurances are because there is no awareness about what investments our own family member has done. A person does investment, does not even inform his spouse or his kids. So the first and foremost is awareness of your investments. Whatever investments you do, please inform your family members and keep them aware. Because why do we do investments? So that when there is a financial emergency, if there is a job loss, if there is a health emergency, our families should be sustaining even if there is an absence of income. But if you are building your portfolio and not even informing your family members, how are they even supposed to know that there is some fund which they can utilize? So there should be proper awareness. Just last week there was a news. A guy discovered share certificates of his father, which his father had invested around 1 lakh rupees 30 years back in some shares. And today, the value was 80 crore rupees. And his father had not even told him. He found it while cleaning the house. Now, just imagine how many more such share certificates would be lying around in so many Indian houses without ever being noticed. When you invest, but your family members are not aware of your investment, that investment is as good as dead investment. So please keep your family members aware, either those who depend on you financially or those on whom you depend financially. So when you make investments, please inform about the same to your spouse, your kids, your parents, and if your siblings stay with you, your siblings. This gets us to the next point. Access. Your family members are aware of your investments. But in a time of an urgent requirement, if they cannot access that investment, then what's the point of them being aware of that investment? See, there was one news about a couple wherein, a husband and wife. Husband was the earning member, wife was not earning. And husband had made all investments for his family. And they went on a trip and unfortunately met with an accident and the husband passed away. Now the wife is aware that, we have so-and-so deposit, so-and-so insurance, but she doesn't know how to access it. So they had to go through the hard way in order to even access their own money. So access to family members is very important. I'm not telling that you give your passwords and credentials to everyone, but you should have methods wherein your family can access in case of emergencies. Like, for example, you can have an Excel sheet. And you can put in all the credentials over there. Password protect that Excel sheet, and the password should be known only to you and your spouse. Or if you don't want to keep it in digital format, then of course you can write all the passwords in a notebook and keep it somewhere safe at home. The tricky portion is how to share your credentials with your kids. Here I have a method. I propagate one method over here. I say that husband and wife should create one separate email ID called investments email ID, okay? And whatever email you get, you do one deposit, you do one withdrawal, there is a dividend, whatever emails you get in respect of your investments, just forward it to this separate email ID. This email ID's password you and your spouse should have, husband and wife. And when you feel that your kids are at a particular age and stage in life where they can know now about your investment history, just give them the password of this email. You don't have to sit and tell your kids everything. But when they go through that email, they will know about your investment history. So, but these are some methods. Everyone can devise their own methods on how to share credentials and give proper access of your investments to your family members. Now, many investors, they invest with discipline, their family members are aware, they have proper access. But one very small but very important thing that people fail to do is adding nomination to your investments. Friends, please understand, nomination does not mean inheritance. A nominee will not automatically inherit your investments. A nominee is just a trustee who will have a legal access to your investments after you. So please add nominations to all your investments, because after you, your investments should not become dormant or unclaimed. Emergency funds. When I talk about the messy financial landscape in India, it is not only the messy investment landscape, but it is also the absence of liquidity in majority of Indian households. Okay, when we invest very much, right? But still, many Indians are living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not standing here and telling you how you have to spend your money, but I'm just telling you, try to build emergency funds. Because if there is a job loss, if there is a business loss, if there is some health emergency and you cannot work for some time, still you will have to pay your EMI, you will have to pay your kids' education fees, you will have to pay for groceries, you will have to pay for rent. You cannot skip on all this. So you should build emergency funds which can sustain you in case of any financial emergencies. Now, how much emergency funds should you save? Social media will tell you 3 months of expenses, 6 months of expenses. I have a very different take on this. You should have emergency funds as per your age and stage in life. If you're in your 20s, you should have emergency funds which are worth 3 months of your expenses. Why? Because in 20s, if you lose your job, you are already updated, you are new into the career, you can get another job in another 3 months. If you fall ill, you can recover in almost 3 months. So in your 20s, you should have 3 months worth of expenses. In your 30s, you should have 6 months worth of expenses as your emergency funds. Because by 30s, you have a small family, the expenses are more, and if you lose your job, maybe it will take a little bit more time to get another job. In your 40s, you should have expenses of around 9 months as your emergency funds. Why? Because if you lose your job in your 40s, you may have to do a short course to get updated and then start searching for a job. So at least 9 months of expenses you should have as emergency funds. And in your 50s, if you lose your job, then you should have at least 1 year worth of expenses as emergency funds, because in your 50s, if you lose your job, rather than searching for another job, take a year to just build your own business. Now, how should you save? Where should you park your emergency funds? Never park your emergency funds in high-risk avenues or avenues which have a lock-in period. Emergency funds should always be quick and easy to retrieve. So emergency funds, you can, thanks for that. Emergency funds, you can park in savings deposits, liquid funds, overnight funds, sweep in, sweep out FDs, or you can even pledge your investments and keep an overdraft ready, which you can utilize in case of any emergencies. Now, this brings us to our next point, pledgeability. See friends, we build our dream portfolio by resisting a lot of urges. That one shopping spree, that one beautiful dress, we say, no, I won't purchase this, I will invest this money. Month on month, year on year, you build your dream portfolio, your retirement fund, your health emergency fund. And when an emergency comes, what do? We will break into this portfolio, we will sell it, liquidate it, and utilize it. And once you have utilized your portfolio, you realize how difficult it is to start from zero again. You feel lost, you feel defeated, you feel demotivated. Rather than liquidating your portfolio, you can always pledge your portfolio and get a loan against it. Almost all of your investments are pledgeable. Properties, FDs, mutual funds, shares, even insurance. Even in insurance, if you pledge an insurance policy, you get a certain percentage of surrender value as a line of credit. See, when you pledge an asset and you get a loan against that, and you can use it for your immediate financial requirement. But the asset, that is the mutual fund or shares or properties or FDs, belong to you. You are the owner of it. Any bonus shares, split shares comes to you. Any dividends on shares and mutual funds comes to you. Any rent on properties comes to you. Any interest on FDs comes to you. Any capital appreciation on that asset is yours. So your property is growing, is having a capital appreciation. You are enjoying that growth, but on the other hand, you also have immediate funds for your urgent requirements. So always remember, it is easier to pay off a loan rather than rebuilding a portfolio. When you pledge your investments, there are two important aspects that you should keep in mind. First is service the interest portion of that loan every month. And second is try to pay off the overdraft as quickly as possible. So always remember that your investments are pledgeable, and whenever there is a situation where you have an urgent requirement of funds, you should evaluate, should I liquidate my portfolio or should I pledge it? Then many investors, especially youngsters, do this mistake. They will invest every month, they will invest with discipline, they would have taken care of all aspects like nomination and emergency funds, but they invest their money without taking professional experts' advice. See, today we have websites, apps, we can invest directly through the click of a button. You want to invest in any shares or mutual funds, there is 24/7 news available on that shares and mutual funds. So people try to invest by themselves without going through a professional like, say, a share broker or a mutual fund distributor. Why do people avoid going through professionals, especially mutual fund distributors, for example? Because there is a commission involved. What is the commission? 0.7% on an average. So if you are investing 10,000, 70 rupees is the commission. I have seen cases where in order to save this 70 rupees, people have invested directly and made losses. People have invested directly and invested in avenues which do not align with their financial goals. People have invested into shares that have crashed, all to save 70 rupees, 0.7%. When you go to a professional for an investment advice, they will prepare your risk profile. What are your financial goals? What is the time horizon that you are willing to stay invested? For example, next year you want to go on an international trip. That is why you are saving now for 12 months. Then how should you save? You are saving for your kids' education, which may be 10-15 years from now, higher education. Then medium term, how should you save? You are saving for your retirement, say 25 to 30 years from now. Then how should you invest? Then they will check how much amount are you willing to invest to meet that goal. And what is your risk appetite? So it is not one size suits all. You should get customized professional advice and then you should invest rather than copying what your friends or your colleagues are doing. Of course, now with the way we are advancing in technology, there is a new initiative where you can connect all your investment related information to DigiLocker, wherein you can just retrieve all your information at just one click of a button. So friends, these are small, tiny things which you need to follow to keep your investments clean, which if not followed, can snowball into huger things. And remember, as India, we are at a healthy growth stage right now. And Indian financial markets are one of the most attractive markets in the world right now. But also always remember, when you invest in financial markets, it is not always a straight upward line. There will also be dips, there will also be downs. But if you have stocks that are fundamentally good, fundamentally stable, and if your professional advises you to hold on to those shares, then you can definitely float through some dips, because dips are also very important, and they too teach very valuable lessons, lessons which are beyond the syllabus.